Hello, today's class is about chlamydia. Chlamydia are obligate intracellular bacteria, and they are responsible for a spectrum of diseases in human beings like trachoma, LGV is lymphogranuloma venereum, conjunctivitis, pneumonia, psittacosis. So initially it was once thought that chlamydia can be a virus because this bacteria possessing few properties which resembles with the bacterial with the viral properties. So the first thing is that they are obligate intracellular organisms, and they cannot be grown in the artificial media, but they can grow in cell lines, embryonated egg, or animals. Chlamydia is chlamydia can pass through the bacterial filters, so it is filterable like the other viruses, and it can produce intracytoplasmic inclusions like the other viruses. But chlamydia are now confirmed to be a bacteria because of the following characteristics. First thing is that it possesses both DNA and RNA, and its cell wall is similar to that of gram negative bacteria, and it is multiply by binary fission, and it contains prokaryotic 70S ribosome, and it is capable of synthesizing its own nucleic acid, lipids, and proteins, but not ATP. We will see later. And the most important thing is that it is susceptible to a wide range of antibacterial antibiotics. Now, if we look for the classification for this organism, so the classification is based on genetic characteristics. It is classified under two genera. The first one is the chlamydia. It has one pathogenic species, that means the chlamydia trachomatis. Other genera is chlamydophila. It is consist of two pathogenic species, chlamydia psittaci and chlamydia pneumoniae. There are other several non-pathogenic animal species are also present. They are chlamydia pecoronum, chlamydia bovis, chlamydia cavei, and chlamydia felis. Now, if we talk about the life cycle of the chlamydia, this bacteria exists in two different morphological forms: the elementary body and reticulate body. The life cycle starts with the attachment. This chlamydia, as you can see, these red dots or red circles are representing the bacteria. This chlamydia have a specific tropism for squamous epithelial cells and macrophages of respiratory tract. This growth cycle is also called as biphasic because I have already told you it exists in two forms, the elementary and the reticulate body. Now the first step is the attachment. These elementary bodies attach to the specific receptor which is present on the surface of the host cells, and once they are attached, they are endocytosed inside the host cells. Now inside the host cells, that means the diagram 2, they can survive intracellularly. But how? Because they prevent phagosome lysosome fusion inside the host cells. They prevent phagosome lysosome fusion by inserting chlamydial antigen onto the phagosomal membrane, and after that they will transform to reticulate bodies, and by 12 hours of infection, these elementary bodies will enlarge and containing diffused nucleotide. Once these elementary bodies will get transformed into the reticulate bodies, and these reticulate bodies will start dividing by the binary fission, and it will take around 18 hours to reach at this stage. These reticulate bodies, they are metabolically active forms, okay, and these are capable of synthesizing their own nucleic acid, lipids and protein, but not ATP, and they are dependent on the host cell to get their ATP. That's why this bacteria is also called as energy parasite, because it required host ATP for its survival. Now the diagram number 4, that means again they will transform back to elementary bodies, and they will make inclusion body. What is inclusion body? It is a vacuole. Can you see the vacuole? This is the vacuole which gradually increase in size, and it has got its own importance because at this stage we can detect these inclusion bodies through histologic stains, and this will increase in size, and mature inclusion bodies, this is a mature inclusion body. It contains 100 to 500 elementary bodies, and these elementary bodies will again released from the host cell, and this will take 48 hours, and the cycle will goes on. These elementary bodies will get again attached to some host cell, and again they will get endocytosed and through binary, and they will transformed into reticulate body. Then they will start dividing by binary fission, and after that they will again transform to elementary body, and a big vacuole will formed, which is also called as inclusion body, and it will get ruptured, and again the elementary bodies will be released. So it will keep on going. Now there are some different points to differentiate between the elementary body and reticulate body. That means the elementary body is extracellular form, it is infectious form, it is metabolically inactive, it has got rigid cell wall, it is small in size, nucleoid is electron dense, DNA, RNA content are same. Whereas the reticulate body, as we have seen, it is only the intracellular form, and it is during when the bacteria is in this state, it will replicate because it has to replicate, so it is metabolically active. The cell walls are very fragile, it is very large in size, nucleoid is diffuse, and RNA content is more than DNA content. Now these are the steps which I have already explained you: the attachment and the release and the persistent infection. Now the antigenic structure. Chlamydia possess the following antigens, genus or the group specific antigen. It is also called as LPS, lipopolysaccharide, and it is a genus specific. It is similar to the lipopolysaccharide which is present in the other gram-negative bacteria. This LPS is responsible for the induction of TNF alpha and other pro-inflammatory cytokinins which will cause scarring and fibrosis, and other species specific protein antigens are also present at the envelope surface, and these are responsible, or they through them we can classify to species level. Now some serovar specific antigen are also present at the outer membrane, which is also called as major outer membrane protein, and again because they are serovar specific, so we can use these outer membrane protein to detect the serovar specific antibodies. Now classification of chlamydia: biovar, serovar, and the disease caused by them. The first one is this species, that means the Chlamydia trachomatis. It is responsible for trachoma and it belongs to serotype A, B, B, A and C. The same organism causes lymphogranuloma virineum. Serotype is L1, L2, L2A and L3. Other species is Chlamydia psittaci. It is responsible for community acquired atypical pneumonia, and Chlamydia pneumoniae causes psittacosis. It is also called as TVAR agent, that means Taiwan acute respiratory agent. Now trachoma. What is trachoma? It is a chronic keratoconjunctivitis caused by C. trachomatis, serovar A, B, BA and C. Trachoma is transmitted through direct contact, either by the fingers or the fomites, and with discharge from the eye of the infected patient, or in direct contact through contaminated clothes or flies. Infection is acquired by 2 to 3 years of age, and active disease is most common among young children. Now, the infection can be acute infection or late stage. So, in acute infection, this infection is present as follicular conjunctivitis. That means the inflammation of conjunctival lymphoid follicles, and papillary hyperplasia. Follicles rupture to leave shallow pits termed Herbert's pit, and here the cornea also gets infected, which causes keratitis. Later on, there is the stage of cicatrization, which is also called late stage. Here the recurrent infection leads to conjunctival scarring or cicatrization, which may occur at scleral conjunctiva junction, or also called as limbal scarring, or on palpebral conjunctiva. Now, pannus will be there. What is pannus? It's a formation of new vessels. Entropion. What is entropion? The eyelashes become wet and turn inward, which causes corneal irritation, corneal surface irritation, because they rub, and it is also called as trichiasis. Now, because of this repeated rubbing of cornea may lead to opacity, which results in impaired vision or the blindness. Now, the epidemiology. Trachoma is a disease of developing nations, and there are hyperendemic areas of trachoma. They include sub-Saharan Africa, Middle East, Southeast Asia, which includes India also. And because it can be prevented, but still trachoma is continued to be the leading cause of blindness. So it is called as the leading cause of preventable infectious blindness. Chlamydia trachomatis serovar, which is D to K. The infection produced by Chlamydia trachomatis serovar D to K are genital infections. These genital infections, often called as non-gonococcus urethritis, and it is more common cause. The Chlamydia trachomatis is the most common cause of non-gonococcal urethritis, which is responsible for 30 to 50% of cases of non-gonococcal urethritis. Now, it is different from gonococcal urethritis because the onset of the symptoms, the incubation period, it will take 7 to 10 days, whereas if you compare it with the gonococcal urethritis, it is little shorter period, that means 2 to 5 days. And the symptoms in non-gonococcal urethritis, the discharge is mucopurulent, which is followed by dysuria and urethral irritation, whereas in gonococcal urethritis it is purulent discharge. Now, there is another term called as post-gonococcal urethritis. Here also Chlamydia trachomatis is the most common cause for this post-gonococcal urethritis, and it is more common in men, especially after the recovery from gonococcal urethritis. after 2 to 3 weeks. This happens with when the patient with gonococcal urethritis are treated with penicillin or cephalosporins alone, without adding any anti-chlamydial drugs. Another infection is epididymitis and proctitis. It is the most common cause of epididymitis in males. Now the Reiter syndrome, which is also known as reactive arthritis, it consists of conjunctivitis, urethritis, or in females it is also known as cervicitis, arthritis, and it is characteristic mucocutaneous lesions. It occurs in 1 to 2% of cases and develops after 1 to 4 weeks after genital infections. Men are the most commonly affected than women. It is most common cause of peripheral inflammatory arthritis in young men. The large joints will be affected more, and there is HeLa B27 correlation is also seen. The mechanism for this is immune mediated inflammatory response to an infection at a distant site. Chlamydia trachomatis may act as a trigger organism which enhance the immune response in the person who is susceptible, and but it may not be responsible for all the cases. Sometime it will get resolved without any treatment, but sometime relapse can be there. Where in females, mucopurulent cervicitis is the most common manifestation, and if it is left untreated, it can progress to endometritis, salpingitis, and pelvic inflammatory disease, and finally pelvic peritonitis, which is also called as Fitz-Hugh-Curtis syndrome. Now the inclusion conjunctivitis. Chlamydia trachomatis serova DK is responsible for this infection, and when it happens in the newborn, it is known as ophthalmia neonatorum or inclusion belonaria. Here again, the Chlamydia trachomatis is the most common cause of ophthalmia neonatorum than the gonococcus. Incubation period is longer for this chlamydial infection, from 6 to 21 days, and discharge is mucopurulent. Whereas in gonococcus infection, the onset is sudden, that means within 48 hours, and the discharge will be purulent. Now if the infection occurs in adult, it will called as adult inclusion conjunctivitis. It is an acute follicular conjunctivitis that may occur in adults following swimming. That means it is also called as swimming pool conjunctivitis. Infant pneumonia, it is an interstitial pneumonia that develops within 3 weeks to 3 months of the birth. And infection spread from conjunctiva to pharynx via the nasolacrimal duct, or infection via the Eustachian tube may cause otitis media. Now the LGV, also known as lymphogranuloma venereum, this is an invasive systemic sexually transmitted disease. The first stage is characterized by the painless papule, ulcer or vesicle, which develops on the penis or vulva after incubation period of 3 days to 6 weeks. The second stage includes inguinal lymph nodes in the groin. They become enlarged, tender and soft, which is also called as buboes. Fistulae, buboes may break down and discharge may spread externally as chronic fistula, and there are systemic symptoms will be there like fever, headache and myalgia. The third stage comes when the patient left untreated, especially in women and homosexual men. There is a rectal stricture or rectovaginal and rectal fistulae. There is another term called as asthomini the vulva. The meaning of this asthomini is the eating away or the scrotum or the penis. And elephantiasis of the vulva or the scrotum may occur due to impaired lymphatic drainage that is endemic in tropic, notably Africa and in India. Now the chlamydia psittaci, also this is not chlamydia, it is Chlamydophila psittaci. Now it is a pathogen of parrots and other psittaci in birds, and it is responsible for causing psittacosis in them. But a similar disease of non-psittacan birds was previously called as ornithosis, but now it is merged with psittacosis. So if we talk about the reservoir, the pet birds, it comes from the pet birds like parrot and other psittacan family, and from the poultry also, and they are the natural reservoir of infection. Now the infection transmit from them to human. How they are transmit? That means the mode of transmission. It can be transmitted through inhalation of aerosols from avian nasal discharge or from infectious avian fecal or feather dust, or it can be transmitted by the direct contact with the infected bird, as there is no person to person transmission has been recorded. Now the clinical manifestation, its incubation period is usually 5 to 19 days. The first symptom is the respiratory manifestation, that means a mild influenza like syndrome will be there, and it can land up to fatal pneumonia. Septicemia occurs which will lead to meningoencephalitis, endocarditis, pericarditis, arthritis and gastrointestinal symptoms. Sometimes typhoid like syndrome will be there, which is characterized by fever, hepatosplenomegaly and Hodder spots. Now because of control of birds and improved veterinary hygiene measures, cases of psittacosis are very rare. Another pathogenic bacteria is known as Chlamydophila pneumoniae. This is exclusively a human pathogen. Now, how it transmits from person to person? By the inhalation. It is responsible to cause atypical pneumonia. What is atypical pneumonia? That means the person will be able to carry out all his daily activities along with the mnemonic X-ray presentation, and around 10% of cases of community acquired pneumonia belongs to this atypical pneumonia. Here the fever will be there, non-productive cough will be there, absence of leukocytosis, sometime upper respiratory tract will also get involved and represent as pharyngitis, sinusitis. Atherosclerosis will also be there, antibodies will be elevated, and Chlamydia pneumoniae can be recovered from erytheromatous plaques. Now there is an autoimmune reaction. The antibodies for the outer membrane protein can also cross react. Now the lab diagnosis. Specimen depends on the type of the lesion. Scraping or the swabs from the infected sites, as the chlamydia is this bacteria causes the intracellular, that means the bacteria reside inside the cell. The sample must contain the cells. So the foam scraping or swabbing at the site is required. Now the samples which are recommended are the urethral swabs for the non-gonococcal urethritis, endocervical swabs for cervicitis, conjunctival swabs for ocular infections, upper conjunctiva for trachoma, and lower conjunctiva for ophthalmia neonatrum. Now, first catch urine sample in the morning contain greatest amount of urethral secretions. Hence, it is the preferred specimen for urethritis or cervicitis. Nasopharyngeal aspirate and the respiratory secretions for the pneumonia, and buboes aspirate for the LGV. Now, after taking the sample, we will first go for the microscopy, and under the gram staining, they take the stains very poorly, but they will look like as a gram negative bacteria only. Now, on gram staining, apart from the bacteria, there will be a sterile pyuria. That means the elevated neutrophils without any organism, including gonococci. It is called as sterile pyuria. So, in this type of cases, other diagnostic tests should be performed for the confirmation. Now, the presumptive diagnosis can be made based on the neutrophil count. For the non-gonococcal urethritis or post-gonococcal urethritis, epididymitis and reactive arthritis, if the neutrophils are more than 4 neutrophils per oil immersion field, then we can consider it. whereas for the cervicitis neutrophils has to be more than 20, and for proctitis it is more than 1 neutrophil per oil immersion field. We can take the other stains too, like Castaneda and Gemsa, and these are the better stains as compared to Gram stain to detect the chlamydia from the sample. Here we can see the inclusion bodies. So, you can see the inclusion bodies, the big vacuole. Now, the Lugol's iodine this is for the inclusion bodies of Chlamydia trachomatis, and why it gets stained with the Lugol's iodine? Because it contains glycogen matrix. So, whereas the inclusion bodies of Chlamydia psittaci are diffuse vacuolated without glycogen matrix. Hence, for psittacosis they will not take up the iodine stain. Now, what about the inclusion bodies? They have been given a various names such as HP body in trachoma, or Miyagawa corpuscles in LGV, and LCL body in psittacosis. What is LCL? Is Leventhal Cole-Lely body in psittacosis. Now, antigen detection. For antigen detection, direct detection of inclusion bodies in the clinical material, particularly the sample which is taken from the genital tract and eye, the direct immunofluorescence test is useful. Now, how to take the sample? Swabs are rolled on the Teflon coated slide, and how to take the sample for this DIF. So, first swabs are rolled on the Teflon coated slide and then fixed with the methanol. Then the fluorescent tagged monoclonal antibody is directed against the group specific LPS antigen or species specific MOPP antigen are added. What is MOPP? That means the major outer protein. Although this direct immunofluorescence test is sensitive, but specificity is low. Now, there is enzyme immunoassay. Here also we will detect the antigen against the LPS. Culture. Culture is difficult because the chlamydia cannot be cultivated in artificial media. It required embryonated egg or animal cell line. So, the cell line, this is a traditional method of diagnosis, and it is also considered as a gold standard method, but it is less sensitive as compared to NATs, and it is time consuming and technically demanding and labor intensive. So, the cell lines which are able to grow Chlamydia trachomatis, or the recommended cell lines are McCoy, Hella 229, buffalo, green monkey, baby hamster, kidney cell lines. This is for the trachomatis. Now, for the pneumonia, Hep2 or human fibroblast cells line can be used. For the psittaci, grow well in the cell culture, but isolation is not attempted because of the lab infection. Now, the cell line, what is the procedure? The cell line should be in their stationary phase of growth before the inoculation of specimen, and they should be treated with gamma radiation or cyclohexamide to bring them for the in their stationary phase, and there is pre-treatment of cell line with the DAE, that means diethyl aminoethanol dextran, or we can we can go for centrifugation after inoculation of the specimen. It will increase the contact between the chlamydia and the cells. And after the incubation of 48 to 72 hours, will stain these cell lines to detect the presence of inclusion bodies, and we will see under the microscope. Now comes NAT. What is NAT? It is nucleic acid amplification test. The advantages of the NAT is because it is nucleic acid amplification test, so it is very sensitive and specific, and it takes less time, and it is able to detect few copies of DNA from the sample. Now it is also can differentiate between the species and the serovars, and it is presently it is the diagnostic assay of the choice for the chlamydial infections, as well as CDC is also recommended the same. Now it has replacing the so called gold standard culture method. So for the NAT there are various methods are available, like the PCR, LCR, and transcription mediated amplification, strand displacement assay, or the film array respiratory panel. Now if we see the serology aspect, or if we go for the antibody detection, the complement fixation test is used for the LPS antigen detection, but this test was used in the past because of the complexity of this test itself. Now if we go for the ELISA, it is again based on the LPS antigen, and it is uses for species and serovar specific MOP proteins, that means the major outer membrane protein antigen. It can detect IgG, IgM separately, but it is not widely used because of the technical issues, and expertise are required. So for this the titer is single titer is more than 1:512 is diagnostic, and the fourfold rise of titer. Now this is a summary of lab diagnosis of this infection, what all the methods we can use. Now comes the treatment. Chlamydia trachomatis, if it is uncomplicated genital infection or trachoma or adult conjunctivitis, azithromycin is the drug of choice, single dose of 1 gram tablet. Alternative drugs can be given, that is doxycycline, tetracycline, erythromycin, ofloxacin. Now the ceftriaxone added to the regime to cover possible gonococcus and co-infection. Now if it is complicated genital infection, doxycycline will be the drug of choice, and for neonatal infection it's erythromycin, and topical ointment can be used in addition. Chlamydophilus psittaci, tetracycline is the drug of choice. Erythromycin can be used. For pneumonia, tetracycline is the drug of choice. Now the prevention of genital infection. Periodic screening is a very helpful tool in the high risk group, such as young women having multiple sex partners. The treatment should be for both the partners, and encouragement to use barrier method of contraception such as condoms. So, thank you.